So Lovecraft Country was basically cancelled for a second season. I say basically, it was. It was cancelled for a second season. Now, we have had some interesting snippets of information revealed across the weekend. Not quite sure where this information actually came from. I think maybe even it was Apple that announced this. But basically, Misha Green, the individual who was behind Lovecraft Country, has now signed a massive deal with Apple TV. And that's obviously led lots of people to wondering, well, is Lovecraft Country saved? And we'll kind of get to that. I don't think it is, just as a spoiler alert, I guess. But we'll get to the news. This is pretty big news for Misha Green. Good, good for her. Anyway, so turns out that the grass is greener. Well, basically for Misha Green. Now, she had the overall deal itself. Again, we don't know the ins and outs of it specifically, but we can kind of look at the deal. It's a big deal. So in terms of the monetary kind of factor on the back end of it, I'd imagine it's quite large. Quite large. But basically, the Lovecraft Country creator has signed an overall deal with tech titan Apple to create and develop small screen projects for stream Apple TV Plus worldwide. Pretty big. I'm not overly sure what Apple TV pays. Again, if it was HBO, we have some kind of metrics to go by. Apple TV, we're not overly sure on. The lucrative multi-year agreement for Green comes exactly 1 week after HBO axed an anticipated second season of the acclaimed Lovecraft Country. Yes, also no. But this also sounds like she's basically been poached and just gone off. I think that's fine. That's more than acceptable. As Green made pointedly clear in post-cancellation tweet, the sophomore season of the Junie Smollett, Jonathan Majors and Michael Kenneth Williams starring horror drama was already significantly planned out. Not long after deadline's July 2nd exclusive reporting on the Warner Media owned premium cable, basically just going, no thank you. We will not be having that. The series, based on the 2016 novel by Matt Ruff, the Underground co-creator, even shared a geographical glimpse of the over 70-page Bible that had been assembled for what was widely assumed to be season 2. A lot of people assumed that, but then, I mean, we kind of had that guesswork on Watchmen as well. So here we go. Here's the sort of the ins and outs of the deal from what we know. Anyway, this is the quote that everyone is running with. Described as an extremely competitive situation with a number of deep pocket suitors. Weird phrasing, but fine. Green's alliance with Apple is the first overall deal for the filmmaker. It's good for her, but if it's a first overall deal, it's probably going to come down quite a bit in value by comparison to seasoned creators anyway. Not that Green isn't already pretty busy on the big and small screen, even with the axing of more Lovecraft. She is set to helm and pen a new Tomb Raider flick. I wasn't aware of that. That would be interesting, I guess. Plus a Cleopatra Drones revival and the Kate Wood written action vehicle picture Fuel, which Green is EPing with Smollett, among other projects. Still, the one-time home of iTunes will be a bit basically getting the old band back together, blah, 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 blah. All this kind of drivel and nonsense that we have from these things. Now, this is just who's repping her, etc., etc., etc. Fine. In terms of what this means for actual Lovecraft Country Season 2 and whether people are going to be getting it back, this is an interesting snippet. This is the interesting snippet here. So despite HBO owning the show in-house, so they owned it, right? And the rights to these things are always interesting. I would imagine HBO will have the rights to this for some time unless they, I guess, auction it off. They just sell it off. But it was produced by corporate sibling Warner Brothers TV and counted Jordan Peele and J.J. Abrams among its executive producers. The premium cable network heard the pitch for season 2 and ultimately opted to pass on renewing the season. Now, that was also called Lovecraft Country Supremacy, which got a lot of people a bit like, yeah, okay, a bit confused. Like, that's not, well, it's however you want to sort of phrase all of that. There was an interesting image shared by Misha Green, essentially the geographical map of what was going to be here. And I can see exactly why HBO chose to axe this. 100%. The next generation, season 2 of Lovecraft Country, begins in a new world. And that new world is a country that sits precisely where the United States used to sit. And I highly doubt Apple TV are going to want this. Because, again, I can see why HBO... Objectively, I can see why HBO passed on this. The United States is a pretty divided place at the moment. And then you're calling Season 2 of Lovecraft Country Supremacy. And it's the sovereign states of America, the New Negro Republic, Jefferson Commonwealth, the White Lands, and the tribal nations of the West. Yeah, I don't think there's going to be many networks that want to touch this. Not in the current state, anyway. I think that they would really, really want to change this. Mainly just because it's not palatable to a lot of people. It's not. It just strikes up more and more division, where people want, unity. So, in terms of how this is going to go with respect to Lovecraft Country being, I guess, brought over to Apple TV, unless Apple TV purposely purchase it from HBO Max, I can't. Well, HBO anyway. It's not HBO Max, but HBO. I doubt that this is going to come over there. I doubt that they're going to get it. And also, why would they? Like, it's an HBO original. It was founded on HBO. It's there. Lovecraft Country Season 2. The metrics, the number metrics that were coming out for the show, it wasn't that good. I think it was less than 1 million views per episode or something mind-bogglingly small like that. It wasn't a massive amount. I think the final episode had less than 1 million watchers. So Apple TV are not going to look at that and go, oh yeah, let's create more and more division and then have, this show which doesn't really get many views on there. I can't imagine that's going to be the case. But it's good for Misha Green. Anyway, great deal. Good. Cool. Found your home over on Apple TV. I don't know whether Apple TV is actually on the rise, on the up and up. We hear a little bit more about Amazon Prime than we do Apple TV. They're sort of a slow start. As with most streamers, in fairness, except for Disney. Disney pretty much hit the ground running with a lot of their shows, which is okay, I guess. But HBO Max sort of didn't hit the ground running properly. They had, the Raised by Wolves. That sort of dropped, and then they didn't have anything else for a really long time. So Apple TV is not one of the ones which I'm massively familiar with. Are you? Please do let me know down below. But there you go. Lovecraft Country creator Misha Green is heading on over to Apple TV. Is this good? Is this bad? Do you think Lovecraft Country will head on over there as well? I don't. And I think that there's many reasons why it won't. So please do let me know your thoughts down below. If you're new here, do hit subscribe. Cheers. Take care.